Difference between organized crime and gangs. Well, organized crime started out, well, when I say organized crime, I'm specifically talking about the Italian Mafia. I don't worship the Italian Mafia. I don't look at them as being elite like a lot of people. I look at them as just being, it's different kind of criminals. You got Italian criminals, black criminals, whatever. They're just a certain type, but I do respect the fact that they were organized. You see, they started off as street gangs, the Italians. They were like little thugs, just like these gang members are. They were thugs, but eventually Lucky Luciano stepped in and he made it corporate. He created a senate, meaning they had representatives at the round table. So the mafia, 5 families, and also the other satellite families around the country couldn't make a decision. They couldn't kill. They couldn't get involved in a business, whether it was legal or illegal, unless they got approval from that senate. Every murder had to be planned and approved. You had to give your reasoning for it. Every murderer was carefully selected. Usually they pick your friend because murder was more so a process. It wasn't to send a message. It was just to get something done. So the quicker, the easier, the better. So usually they would send a friend to kill his friend because it would be less messy. It would be easy. Gang members, they kill you to send a message. They want you to fear them. They want you to know that they retaliated against you. And the Italian Mafia, it was illegal. It was against their rules of omerta to admit that you were a mafia member. If you actually admitted that you were a part of the mafia, they will kill you. Gang members, they don't care. They put their gang name, their block, their alphabets, and their social media handles. And when you're proving a RICO, one of the fundamental things, the most basic things that you have to prove is this is a corporate enterprise. This is a criminal enterprise, I meant. Criminal organization, criminal enterprise. They all share the same goal of pushing this criminal enterprise forward. How do you prove that? First, you have to prove that all of these guys represent the same thing. Go to their social media names. They all have BBD 064. Okay, they all have the same numbers. That's the same gang. So, I wish gang members would learn that from the Italian Mafia, the rules of omerta. Admitting that you're in a criminal organization is basically snitching. That's how the Italian Mafia looks at it. The Italian Mafia wasn't just into selling drugs. They sold drugs, but they were into legal businesses as well. Paul Castellano, for example, had complete control of the chicken industry, which is called the poultry industry. So if you were a restaurant and chicken was on your menu, whether you sold chicken sandwiches or chicken fingers, you got your chicken from Paul Castellano. They owned pizza restaurants, of course. They're Italian. They created everything in a pizza restaurant. They created their own mozzarella cheese, their own tomato sauce. They created their own dough. They had factories that made this stuff, so they were legal. They were into labor union corruption, which gave them access to contractors. They could bid rig and stuff like that. That's complex crime, meaning, like, for example, in the 1980s, if you wanted to build anything in New York City, the mob had to get a cut of it. If you were building anything that was more than 2.5 million or 10 million, you had to cut the mob in, whether you was Trump or whoever. Anybody that was building any kind of structure, building skyscraper in downtown Manhattan had to give the mob a cut because they had control over the labor unions and they had control over the contractors. So they had everything on lock. The control of that means if you piss them off, they can call a strike. All the people who work there, they're not going to show up, and that costs you millions of dollars a day. Because you have to, when you're building a structure, you have to stick to the schedule. If you don't work one day, you lose millions of dollars each day you don't work. They also controlled the contractors because the mafia guys, they owned cement businesses, concrete businesses. So not only so every facet of construction they had their hands in. They had casinos. They ran the casinos. They created Las Vegas. And basically, the difference between an organized crime figure and a gang member is the gang member wants you to know that he's a criminal, and the organized crime figure doesn't want you to know. They want you to think that they're a normal civilian who's doing legal things. And I honestly think that gang members can learn a lot from organized crime. If they carried themselves like organized crime figures, they probably wouldn't be getting indicted as much. And if they had some structure in place where they could actually deal with the murders, meaning instead of just killing people with no approval and killing at will, you go to a committee and you get approval for that murder, it'll make things a lot better because it centralizes the command structure, and it's just everything is more organized. You know, gang members will never be able to have politicians in their pocket like organized crime figures, because organized crime figures, you can pretend that they're legal because they do have legal businesses. Gang members are just straight up thugs. That's the perception of them from society. So you can't. So, you know, gang members, it's hard for them to have police in their pocket, judges in their pocket. But if they carry themselves like organized crime figures, maybe they could do that, because then the judges wouldn't be afraid to stand next to them in public because they won't be embarrassed because this guy's legal. Or at least we can pretend he's legal because he has legal and illegal businesses. But you only know about the legal ones because he wears a suit and he doesn't look like a gangster. So yeah, I honestly think that the number one thing about the Italian Mafia, what made them succeed, and they went from street gangs to the Mafia. They used to be just street gangs, thugs on the street, unorganized. Lucky Luciano created the commission. That changed everything, because everything had to go through the commission. If you were a member of another family, and a guy from if you were in the Bonanno family and a Colombo family member came to you and said, "Hey, can I get in on this with you? Can I get in on that?" You had to get approval. Or if you wanted to kill somebody, you had to go up a chain of command. It took time. All the heads of the families would meet about that, give their opinion, then they would decide. It's not like that in the gang world. And I honestly think that if you're going to be a criminal, you should be an organized one. You know, because gang members, what messes them up is they advertise the fact that they're gang members. They love to let the world know that. If you were an organized crime figure, nobody would know that you're a criminal. You know, so that's my 2 cents. That's the difference between organized crime figures and gang members.